Hello, and thank you for joining us today in this special news report. Healthcare disparity is one of the biggest problems that exist across the United States. One might wonder why these problems exist, but disparities in culture and ethnic identities between doctors and patients change the quality of care because of pre-existing stereotypes and health disparities. Today, we'll examine the topic, the lack of minority doctors that are available to treat patients.
An analysis of data on 4.6 million pregnant women across 7 countries was conducted. The results showed us that women in the Black community are about 43% more likely to experience a miscarriage during their pregnancy. Also, Black women are about 3 to 4 times more likely to die of pregnancy-related complications than the average white woman. There are several risk factors for pregnancy-related deaths, like diabetes, low socioeconomic status, and the overconsumption of alcohol. But of course, there are underlying causes that make the average Black woman more likely to be associated with these risk factors, like health inequality, racism that is embedded in our healthcare system. A recent study that I found looked at the weekly wages of minorities in the United States, and the results showed that Hispanic women had the lowest weekly wages. On average, a Hispanic woman makes about $644 per week, or a yearly salary of about $33.5K per year. If we are looking at an average salary made by Hispanic women, this is very low and honestly quite concerning. In addition to the Hispanic community, a study was also conducted in 2018 which showed us that about 20% of African American families find themselves below the poverty line. This is quite shocking because 20% is extremely high in the comparison to the only 9.1% of the white families who are below the poverty line. The Hispanic and Black communities are definitely in a financial disadvantage in comparison to the average white family. Because certain medical procedures and medicine needed to treat somebody cost a fair amount of money. The fact that the average white family makes more than the average Black or Hispanic family makes it clear that it's easier for white families to get the medical attention they need. And now I will pass it on to Tiana.
Hi, I'm Tiana, and in today's news of statistical data, there was a study for 4.6 million pregnant women across 7 countries was conducted. The results showed us that women in the Black community are about 43% more likely to experience a miscarriage during their pregnancy. And with that, Black women are about 3 to 4 times more likely to die of pregnancy-related complications than an average white woman. There was also a recent study looked at weekly wages of minorities in the United States, and the results showed that Hispanic women had the lowest weekly wages. On average, a Hispanic woman makes $644 per week and a yearly salary of $33,500. If we're looking at an average salary made by Hispanic women, that is very low. In addition to the Hispanic community, a study conducted in 2018 shows us that about 20% of African American families find themselves below the poverty line.
Thank you, Alex and Tiana, for those informing statistics about health disparities that exist within our country. My name is Nyla Howe, and if you're wondering why all these inequalities exist within our healthcare system, I'm here to help you out. In Chapter 7 of Mario Barrera's Race and Class in the Southwest, he discusses a multitude of theories that have been proposed to explain racial inequality. We decided to focus on Barrera's structural discrimination theories. These theories argue that the source of minority disadvantage is within the social structure of society as a whole. Our research on health inequalities is based on institutional racism and discrimination. Historical issues within the structural system have had many implications, one of those being a lack of minority representation within the medical field. According to a study by Vijaya Rowe and Glenn Forrest, the main barriers that limit African Americans from pursuing careers as medical doctors were financial constraints, lack of encouragement from school and at home, and lack of role models and negative peer pressure. After reading through this article, it became evident that socioeconomic status plays a major role in the outcome of each of these barriers and makes it more likely for blacks to experience inequalities within the education system and within their family. This makes African Americans less likely to pursue careers as doctors. As you can see, these inequalities prove barrier structural theory to be true. It highlights how disparities within other social institutions can cause inequalities within the healthcare system. Barrier structure, barrier structural theory has definitely shed light on the areas where work needs to be done and will help develop effective solutions to increase the amount of minority doctors within the United States. I'll turn it over to Brenlin for some solutions that can help with this issue.
Health disparities and inequalities continue to be an issue that needs to be addressed in the nation. Some solutions and policies that can help to increase the number of minority doctors that are available in the U.S. are 1. Change the application process for medical school. Many schools use an MCAT score as the determining factor of whether or not a student will be accepted into their school. Medical schools need to change the significance of the MCAT score and look at everything that the applicant has to offer. This could increase the amount of students that get accepted. Second, lower the cost of medical school applications. Many students apply to at least 12 medical schools. The initial application costs $170, and every application after that costs $40. If costs were lowered, this would increase the number of schools that students are able to apply to and increase their chances of getting into medical school. 3. Diversify the medical school community. There are four historically black colleges and universities that enroll a majority of black medical students. The AAMC, HBCUs, and medical schools need to work together to increase the amount of black and minority students in medical schools.